All right, let's just jump right in. We're talking about a world that sounds like something straight out of a movie, right? A world where the line between what you think and what you can digitally do is just completely vanishing. This is the wild, incredible world of brain-computer interfaces, or BCIs for short. And I know it sounds like total science fiction, but this is happening right now. This technology is already allowing people to overcome physical limitations in ways that, honestly, we could only dream about just a few decades ago. And look, this isn't just hype. The research is clear. As this paper points out, BCIs are fundamentally changing lives. I mean, we're talking about restoring abilities that people thought were gone for good. It is absolutely revolutionary medical tech. But here's the turn. Here's the big what if. What happens when that incredibly intimate connection between your mind and a machine gets hacked? Think about that. The most private place in the entire universe, your own thoughts, suddenly becomes a target. The very same technology that offers so much promise. Well, it also opens up a whole new can of worms, a new kind of threat that is deeply, deeply personal.
Okay, so before we get into all this scary stuff, we kind of need a quick breakdown of how these devices even work. It's all about a constant conversation, a continuous loop between your brain and a computer.
The whole process really boils down to 5 key steps, and this all happens in the blink of an eye. First step, generation. Your brain has the thought, that's the signal. Then, step 2, acquisition. The BCI device actually reads that signal straight from your head. Step 3 is processing, where that brainwave gets turned into ones and zeros a computer can understand. And then step 4, this is the magic, decoding. The system figures out what you were actually trying to do. And finally, application. The cursor moves, the email sends, the wheelchair turns. Thought becomes action. Boom. But here's where it gets really fascinating. This is not a one-way street. The conversation goes both ways. If you look at this diagram, you see 2 loops. The one on the left, that's data acquisition. That's the device listening to your brain, just like we talked about. But now look at the path on the right, stimulation. This is the device talking back to your brain, maybe to give you a sense of touch from a prosthetic hand. And understanding this two-way communication is the absolute key to seeing where a hacker could jump in and cause trouble. Okay, so now that we have that loop in our heads, let's go back through it. But this time, let's put on our black hats. Let's think like a hacker and hunt for the weak spots.
The first type of threat is, well, it's genius in a pretty terrifying way. It's called a misleading stimuli attack. Now, a hacker isn't trying to brute force their way into the device. No, they're much cleverer. They basically trick your own brain into snitching on you. They show you specific things and then just sit back and listen for your brain's tiny subconscious reaction.
So how does that actually work? Get this. Researchers showed that a malicious app could just flash numbers on a screen super fast. And when you see a number that's part of, say, your bank PIN, your brain has this tiny little aha moment. It's completely involuntary. You don't even know you're doing it. But the BCI, it sees it. It picks up that little spark for each digit, and just like that, they've got your PIN. And it's not just pins. Imagine this being used to see if you recognize a face in a police lineup, or a secret corporate logo, or even your own home address. The next threat is a bit more direct. You could almost call it old-fashioned. We're talking about straight-up malware. A virus, a Trojan, some piece of malicious software that infects the BCI system itself. So instead of tricking the brain, this stuff gets right in the middle of the conversation and just starts messing with the commands. And the stakes here can literally be life and death. I mean, just picture it. A person wants to cross the street in their BCI-controlled wheelchair. They think, go forward. But malware intercepts that command. It could stop the chair dead in the middle of the road, or, worse, veer it right into traffic. The user's physical safety is suddenly completely in the hands of an attacker. Yeah, this threat map might look a little overwhelming. And that's because the security challenge is overwhelming. You don't need to read every single box, but just follow one line with me. See malware attack in the middle? Follow that out and you see the potential impacts. Data loss, modification of data, even psychological damage. Now follow it the other way and you see proposed countermeasures like antivirus software. Every single threat has this complex web of cause and effect. This is the new battlefield. Now, it's really important to realize that not all BCI systems are created equal. The security risks change dramatically depending on one key factor. Is the device connected to the internet? We can basically split them into 2 camps. On one side, you have local BCIs. Think of this as a closed loop. The headset talks to your phone or computer, and that's it. The conversation stays in the room. On the other side, you have global BCIs.
This is when your brain data goes online, sent to remote cloud servers to do all the heavy-duty processing.
This diagram makes the difference crystal clear. If you look at the bottom half, the local BCI, it's a simple, self-contained loop. The headset on the head talks to the nearby computer, and that's the end of it. Now, look at the top half. For global BCIs, you see that extra step where data gets sent out to a remote cloud device, an RCD? That little step, that internet connection, fundamentally changes the entire security game.
And those new vulnerabilities are pretty significant. With global BCIs, you're suddenly open to remote attacks from anywhere on Earth. Your raw brain signals, not just your commands, but maybe your fleeting thoughts, your emotional state, are being sent to third-party companies. A single hack could lead to a massive data breach of the most sensitive information imaginable. And it's not even clear who would be legally responsible if that happened.
So, the risks are real and they are serious. Which brings us to the biggest question of all. What are we doing about it? How are we going to secure our thoughts in this hyper-connected future? And the pressure is definitely on, because this tech is evolving at an incredible speed. In just a few years, we went from simple device control to direct brain-to-brain communication in rats to networking multiple brains together in what they call a brainet. And now, we're talking about connecting our minds directly to the internet. Security isn't an afterthought here. It's an urgent necessity. The good news is that for every threat, a defense is being developed. You can think of it like a new kind of arms race. We talked about those misleading stimuli attacks. The defense is to have external systems that monitor and validate the content you're seeing. For network attacks, where a hacker might intercept your data, we can use strong encryption. And for malware, we can use machine learning to spot any unusual activity. The fight is on. And that brings us to the final, critical question. This technology holds so much promise to heal and empower us, but it also forces us to ask a really profound question about our future. As we begin to merge our minds with our machines, the battle to protect our thoughts, our final frontier of privacy, is really just beginning. And what will it take to win?